President Trump just publicly begged America's allies to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz, and they said no. South Korea refused. Japan refused. Even America's closest allies are declining to help with Trump's Iran war, and Iran is mocking him for it. Iran's foreign minister went on television this morning and said, quote, "Trump is begging others to come fight his war. This shows how weak he is. The Strait of Hormuz has been effectively shut down for over 2 weeks. 20% of the world's oil passes through that waterway. Gas prices in the U.S. are hitting $5 per gallon. The global economy is teetering, and Trump can't get a single ally to help him reopen it." This is Strategic Signal Report. I'm Sarah Mitchell. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm breaking down Trump's desperate plea for help, why America's allies are refusing, how Iran is trolling him, what this means for the war, and whether Trump's whole strategy is collapsing. Real facts. Let's go. Let me show you exactly what Trump said, because this is unprecedented for a U.S. president during wartime. Trump posted on Truth Social this morning at 6:47 a.m. Here's the full text, quote, "I am calling on our great allies, South Korea, Japan, and all freedom-loving nations, to send their naval forces to the Strait of Hormuz immediately. We need a coalition of the willing to stand up to Iranian aggression and reopen this vital waterway. The world depends on it. America cannot do this alone." Read that last line again. America cannot do this alone. A sitting US president, 2 weeks into a war he started, is publicly admitting he can't handle it without help. He followed up with another post an hour later, quote, "Where are our allies? We protect them, we defend them, we've spent trillions on their security, and when we need them, they're nowhere to be found, ungrateful. This is desperation." Trump started this war without building an international coalition. He didn't get on approval. He didn't coordinate with NATO. He just launched strikes and assumed allies would fall in line. They're not falling in line. Within hours of Trump's post, South Korea's government issued an official response, and it was a polite but firm no. South Korea's foreign ministry released a statement saying, quote, "The Republic of Korea values its alliance with the United States. However, we have not been consulted on the military operations in the Persian Gulf, and we do not believe it is appropriate for South Korean naval forces to participate in this conflict at this time. We urge all parties to pursue diplomatic solutions." Translation: You didn't ask us before starting this war. We're not helping now. South Korea has valid reasons for saying no first. They need their navy to defend against North Korea. South Korean warships can't sail halfway around the world to the Persian Gulf when they're needed in the Sea of Japan. Second, South Korea imports oil from the Middle East. If they join Trump's war against Iran, Iran could retaliate. By cutting off South Korea's energy supply, South Korea can't risk that. Third, South Korea is furious that Trump didn't consult them before starting the war. The U.S. and South Korea are supposed to be allies. Allies talk to each other before launching wars. Trump didn't, so now South Korea is declining to participate. Japan also declined, and their reasoning is even more blunt. Japan's prime minister issued a statement through his spokesperson saying, quote, "Japan's self-defense forces are constitutionally prohibited from engaging in offensive military operations. Deploying naval assets to the Strait of Hormuz would exceed the scope of Japan's defensive mandate. We will not be sending warships." That's diplomatic language for absolutely not. Japan has a pacifist constitution written after World War II. They're only allowed to use military force for self-defense. Sailing warships to the Persian Gulf to fight Iran doesn't qualify as self-defense. Japan can't legally do what Trump is asking. But here's the real issue. Even if Japan could legally help, they probably wouldn't. Japan relies heavily on Middle Eastern oil. 75% of Japan's crude oil imports come from the Persian Gulf. If Japan joins Trump's war and Iran retaliates by disrupting tanker traffic, Japan's entire economy collapses. So Japan looked at Trump's request, calculated the risks, and said no thanks. And it's not just South Korea and Japan. Germany declined. France declined. The United Kingdom sent 1 frigate to the region but made it clear they're there for defensive operations only, not offensive strikes against Iran. Trump is isolated. America's closest allies are refusing to help, and Iran is absolutely loving this. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi appeared on Iranian state television this morning and gave a statement that was clearly designed to humiliate Trump. Here's what he said, quote, "We are watching the American president begging other countries to come fight his war. He is going on social media asking for help. This shows how weak he is. This shows how isolated America has become. Iran stands alone and fights with strength. America begs others and still loses." Then Araghchi continued, Trump started this war thinking Iran would surrender in days. 2 weeks later, his allies won't even help him. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed because we decide when it opens, not him. And we will keep it closed until the aggression against Iran stops permanently. This is psychological warfare. Iran is portraying Trump as weak, desperate, and abandoned. And unfortunately for Trump, the facts support Iran's narrative. Trump is begging for help and getting rejected. That makes him look weak. So why does Trump need allied warships so badly? Because the Strait of Hormuz is still shut down and the U.S. Navy alone can't reopen it safely. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway, only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point between Iran and Oman. 20% of the world's oil passes through it every single day. Right now, tanker traffic is at nearly zero because Iran has effectively mined and blockaded the strait. To reopen the strait, you need mine-clearing ships to sweep for naval mines. You need destroyers and frigates to protect the mine-clearing ships. You need air cover from aircraft carriers. You need surveillance aircraft watching for Iranian fast attack boats. It's a massive operation requiring dozens of ships operating in coordination. The U.S. Navy can do this, but it's risky. If the U.S. loses ships to Iranian mines or anti-ship missiles, American sailors die and the political cost for Trump skyrockets. Trump wants allied navies to share the risk. If a South Korean or Japanese ship hits a mine, Trump doesn't get blamed. But if a U.S. ship sinks, he does. That's why. He's begging for help. He wants to spread the political risk across multiple countries. But America's allies aren't stupid. They see what Trump is doing and they're declining to be his political shield. This whole situation exposes a massive flaw in how Trump started this war. He didn't build a coalition. When the U.S. went to war in Iraq in 2003, the Bush administration spent months building the coalition of the willing. They got dozens of countries to contribute troops, ships, or logistical support. The war was still controversial, but at least America had partners. When the U.S. led operations in Libya in 2011, the Obama administration worked through NATO. It was a multilateral effort with European allies taking lead roles. Trump skipped all of that. He decided to strike Iran, launched attacks with Israel's help, and assumed everyone else would join later. He didn't consult allies. He didn't build consensus. He just went. And now he's discovering that allies won't retroactively join a war they weren't consulted about. South Korea and Japan are essentially saying, "You didn't ask our opinion before starting this. Why should we risk our ships and sailors now?" Trump thought American power was enough on its own. He's learning it's not. Modern wars require coalitions. Trump doesn't have one. And while Trump begs for warships, Americans are paying the price at the pump. Gas prices hit a national average of $5.12 per gallon this morning. That's up from $3.85 just 2 weeks ago when the war started. In some states, it's even worse. California is averaging $6.40 per gallon. Hawaii is at $7. Even cheap gas states like Texas are over $4.50. This is because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Oil that normally flows through the strait has to be rerouted around Africa, which adds weeks to shipping times and massive costs. Refineries are running low on crude. Supply is tight. Prices spike, and it's not just gas. Jet fuel is up 50%. Airlines are cutting flights and raising ticket prices. Shipping costs are exploding, which means everything transported by truck gets more expensive. Groceries, household goods, everything. Trump promised this war would be quick and painless. 2 weeks in, the strait is still closed, allies won't help, and Americans are paying $5 a gallon. Trump's political problems are getting worse every day. Gas prices stay high. Iran's strategy is becoming clear. They're not trying to win militarily, they're trying to outlast Trump politically. Iran knows they can't beat the U.S. military in direct combat, but they don't have to. They just need to make the war expensive and painful enough that Trump's domestic support collapses. Keep the strait closed, keep gas prices high, keep Americans angry, and wait for Trump's poll numbers to crater. Iran's foreign minister said as much this morning, quote, "We are patient. We have endured sanctions for decades. We can endure bombs for months. Can Trump endure $5 gas for months? Can he endure his allies abandoning him? We will see. That's the bet Iran is making. They think Trump will break before Iran does, and watching Trump beg for allied support on social media suggests Iran might be right. So where does this go from here? Trump has 3 options, and all of them are bad. Option 1, go it alone. Use US forces to clear the strait without allied help. Risk American casualties. Hope it works quickly before domestic anger grows worse. Option 2, keep begging allies. Maybe offer them something in exchange for warships. trade deals, security guarantees, whatever it takes. But Trump already burned bridges by not consulting them before the war. Hard to rebuild trust now. Option 3. Negotiate with Iran, accept a ceasefire that lets Iran save face and reopen the strait in exchange for the U.S. stopping strikes. But Trump has publicly said he won't negotiate. Reversing now looks like surrender. All three options are politically costly. Trump is in a box of his own making. President Trump publicly begged America's allies to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz. South Korea said no, Japan said no, Germany, France, and others declined. Iran's foreign minister is mocking him on television, saying Trump is weak and isolated. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Gas prices are over $5 per gallon, and Trump has no coalition, no allies, and no clear path to victory. 2 weeks into his war, Trump is begging for help and getting rejected. That's not strength. That's desperation. What do you think? Is Trump's strategy collapsing? Will any allies actually help? How high will gas prices go? Real talk in the comments. Subscribe to Strategic Signal Report. We're tracking every development in this war as it unfolds. For Strategic Signal Report, I'm Sarah Mitchell. Trump begged, allies refused, Iran laughed, and Americans are paying $5 a gallon. See you in the next one.